connective tissue from structural organization in animals. The name itself says the connective tissue is a group of tissue which connect or binds the tissue with that of another tissue. Okay, connective is the one which connects one tissue with that of the another tissue. Now here, these characteristics of connective tissue is they have intracellular matrix as well as the cells are widely spaced, whereas in the epithelial cells we said that the cells are tightly packed with each other and they form the covering onto the surface. But here it consists of the intracellular matrix on the ground substance into which the cells are widely spread. And here, this connective tissue is derived from the germinal layer mesoderm. And here it is also innervated with the supply of blood. And here we are classifying this connective tissue into different types based upon the matrix, cells and type of fibers which are present in the connective tissue. Going into the classification of connective tissue, it is being classified into different types like the loose connective tissue as well as skeletal connective tissue and fluid connective tissue. So coming to this loose connective tissue, here the cells are loosely placed. And now example for that is the areolar connective tissue, okay, as well as the adipose tissue and reticular tissue comes under loose connective tissue. Okay, and in dense connective tissue, there will be rich framework of fibers which may be regularly arranged or irregularly placed. And the next one is the cartilage and bone. And the next type of connective tissue is fluid connective tissue. Coming into the connective tissue with what it is being made up of means it consists of the components. The components are nothing but the cells, the different types of cells which it have, and the matrix with what it is made up of. The matrix again consists of the ground substance as well as the fibers. This makes up a complete connective tissue. The first type of connective tissue is areolar connective tissue. It is the most widely spread connective tissue which is present in our body. Okay, and now this areolar connective tissue also forms the subcutaneous layer of the skin. It has many types of cells like the fibroblast cells, mast cells, macrophages, plasma cells, adipocytes or fat cells. Coming to the first type of cell, the fibroblast cell is responsible for the formation of different types of fibers which forms the framework or matrix to this connective tissue. Mast cells is responsible for producing inflammatory mediators. It may be the heparin, histamine and bradykinin, the vasodilators, serotonin, a vasoconstrictor in case of inflammation or injury or infection to the tissue. And the next type of defense cell in the areolar connective tissue is macrophage, which initiate the process of phagocytosis, cell eating. If any foreign bacteria or any further foreign particle enters into the body, that is being degraded or killed by this macrophage. We can see the two types of macrophages in the areolar connective tissue. That may be the tissue fixed or freely wandering. The tissue fixed macrophages are called as histiocytes, which give defense to the body. And the next type of cells are plasma cells, and they are responsible on activation to produce antibodies. The B cells are being differentiated into plasma cells and their function is to produce antibodies. And the next and last type of cells which are present here is the fat cell, or they are also called as adipocyte, which store fat into it. And coming to the fibers which are present here, there are three different types of fibers, that is the collagen fiber, elastic fiber, reticular fiber. So these are the ones which are responsible for giving the framework to the connective tissue. So this, if you see, these collagen and reticular fibers are composed of a protein called as collagen. And coming to the elastic fibers, they are being made up of a protein called as elastin. This collagen is white in color, whereas elastin is yellow in color. So here if you see these collagen fibers, they are tough or strong and stretch resistant, whereas the elastic fibers are thin and stretchable. And these reticular fibers are also thin and they form a network and give support to the lymphoid tissue. And coming to the differentiation between the three types of fibers, that is the collagen fibers, elastic fibers as well as reticular fibers. These collagen fibers are usually white in color, elastin fibers are yellow in color. So here these collagen fibers are always existing in the form of bundles and they are very rigid and strong, whereas these elastin fibers are thin, and here the reticular fibers are also thin, which are present in the lymphoid tissue. So the protein in collagen fibers are collagen, elastic fibers are elastin, and reticular fibers is reticulin. And these collagen fibers are responsible to provide strength, and elastic fibers are responsible to provide elasticity, whereas the reticular fibers are responsible to provide support to the secondary lymphoid organs or lymphoid tissue. Okay, that is the spleen, liver, lymph nodes, kidney, as well as the bone marrow. Coming to the next type of loose connective tissue, that is the adipose tissue. This adipose tissue is responsible for the storage of fat, and here it consists of cells and a few fibers are present. This adipose tissue is again classified into two types, that is the white adipose tissue and brown adipose tissue. White adipose tissue is present in adults, whereas this brown adipose tissue or BAT is present in the infants or newly born babies. So it acts as an insulator to provide the heat. So here this white adipose tissue is predominant in adult, and here the fat is being stored in the form of a single droplet in the entire cell. Okay, now if you assume this as the adipose tissue, it consists of the adipocytes like this, and in these adipocytes the fat droplet is being present in the form of monoocular, that means as a single droplet it is present, whereas in the bat it is present in the form of multiocular. Okay, so now coming to the brown adipose tissue. So here the cells are present, that is the adipocytes are present. In this adipocyte many fat droplets are present here. Okay, the fat is being present in the form of mini droplets, so it is called as multiocular. Okay, so it is responsible for maintaining heat in the body or maintains body temperature in the newly born baby. Okay, and here in the brown adipose tissue, why it is in brown means it is a highly vascular in the newborn baby. As there is rich supply of blood, it is brown in color. Okay, whereas in white adipose tissue, they consist of no this much of blood vessels, and it is metabolically less active. Here brown adipose tissue is highly vascular. And the next type of thing is reticular connective tissue. It is present in the lymphoid tissue. Okay, now coming to the next type of connective tissue, that is the dense connective tissue. And in the dense connective tissue, it consists of more fibers and fewer cells are present. Like if you assume this as the tissue, here many fibers are being present in this tissue, and few cells are being innervated in between these fibers. So that type of tissue is called as dense connective tissue, and it also have very little ground substance, and depending upon this arrangement and the type of fibers, it is classified into two types. That is the fibrous tissue and elastic tissue. Fibrous tissue is made up of the collagen fibers, and this is again classified into two types. They are dense regular connective tissue and dense irregular connective tissue. Dense regular connective tissue and dense irregular connective tissue. Here, the fibers are irregularly arranged. This is the classification of the two types of dense connective tissue. So, in regular connective tissue, the fibers are arranged regularly, whereas in the dense irregular connective tissue, the fibers are arranged irregularly. Now, if you see in this diagram, you can see here the fibers are regularly arranged in between. There are few cells which are dispersed. Example for this type of arrangement in the body is tendon and ligament. And coming to dense irregular connective tissue, here the fibers are irregularly arranged. Tendon is a place where the muscle is attached to bone, whereas ligament is the place where one bone is attached with the other bone. Coming to dense irregular connective tissue, it is found in pericardium, periosteum. Periosteum is the covering outside the bone is called as periosteum. Okay, as well as endosteum and pericardium are the regions. Endosteum means inside the bone. Pericardium outside the heart. These coverings are being provided by this dense irregular connective tissue. And next is the elastic connective tissue. Here the fibers are made up of elastin. So it occurs in the walls of arteries, vocal cords, trachea, bronchi and elastic ligaments. In addition to this, there is also one more mucous connective tissue, and that occurs in the fetal or embryonic stage, and they are present in the umbilical cord, that is called as Watson's jelly. If you like the video, share and subscribe. This is Pravalika signing off.